Here we go again. A new rumor claims that the upcoming Disney Plus Malcolm in the Middle revival will feature a non-binary character. They are trying to push this agenda as hard and as fast as they possibly can, despite the massive backlash against it that is coming not only obviously from the public, but is now coming from the United States federal government in the form of Donald Trump and his administration, which declares that there are only men and women. There is only male and female. There is nothing else. We're going to continue to see these Hollywood studios push this absolute evil into their films and television programming. And this latest rumor is another confirmation of that. So it was reported back in December by Joe Otterson at Variety that Disney ordered a revival of the popular Malcolm in the Middle series. In that report, Otterson detailed that the revival would see the return of original stars Frankie Muniz, who's now actually competing. I think he's in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He got an 11th place finish, I want to say, at Daytona this last weekend. I think he's back at it tonight at Atlanta. But it will also feature Bryan Cranston and Jane Kaczmarek. He also revealed that the revival would be 4 episodes. An official logline for the miniseries stated Malcolm and his daughter are drawn into the family's chaos when Hal and Lois demand his presence for their 40th wedding anniversary party. Now, according to scooper Daniel Rickman and reported on by Jeremy Dick at CBR, the youngest child of Lois and Hal is a 16-year-old non-binary kid. So that is the rumor right there. They have a 16-year-old non-binary, quote-unquote, non-binary child. There's no such thing. There is only man and woman. You cannot switch between the others, and there is no fluidity, I guess is the term that these activists like to use, between them. There is man, and there is woman, and that is it. So if this rumor turns out to be true, it shows that the Walt Disney Company and its employees and creators are still committed to pushing woke ideology, despite recent moves indicating that they were retreating, at least partially, from such propaganda that is contrary to nature and the fact that the sex body reveals God's design, not only for each individual person, but also for all human beings, by establishing us in a relationship with other living beings. Last week, Axios' Sarah Fisher reported on an email from Disney's Sonia Coleman. She's their Chief Human Resources Officer. That in that email that detailed not only was the Reimagine Tomorrow program and website being shut down, but that the company was adjusting its trigger warnings in front of its movies on its streaming service Disney Plus, and it had rebranded various employee resource groups and replaced its diversity and inclusion performance factor for employees to a new talent strategy factor. While the Reimagine Tomorrow website was shut down, it does redirect to a new belong and inclusion page that is still promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can see that right here. The Disney Entertainment Television, DET, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team is excited to share the Inclusive Storyteller series featuring vignettes of DET talent sharing their stories. So they're still pushing all of this stuff. It is obviously, clearly, it does seem like they are in retreat. Maybe they're minimizing some of it, but it is still there. It is still in this company. We see this because they might have shut down the Reimagine Tomorrow website, but it literally redirects to this page that's all about promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Literally says belong and inclusion. Like they're not really hiding it. It's still right there. They've just named it something different here. The company also shared that it removed a transgender storyline from its upcoming children's show, Win or Lose. That's how absolutely deranged, despicable, and evil this company is. They had actually included this in a children's show, and we know that they were trying to push this into kids because the entire company was advocating against a law getting it removed from public schools in Florida in kindergarten through 3rd grade classrooms, and they were opposed to that law. They wanted this nasty, sick propaganda in front of 5-year-olds. Absolute evil stuff here. And the idea that if somehow magically changed because Donald Trump was elected, it's ridiculous. These people are still there. They haven't fired them. The company is still being led by the same people. Now, obviously, it was being led by Bob Chapek back in Florida. Bob Iger is still there. But for the most part, almost all of the executive staff are still there. A lot of the people that were part of that Reimagine Tomorrow program under Bob Chapek, they're all still there. They are all still at the Walt Disney Company. Heads have not really rolled there. So a spokesman told The Hollywood Reporter that this storyline had been removed, saying, when it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline. I don't even want to discuss that topic at all with my kids. It shouldn't even be something that comes up because we shouldn't even be talking about it. It is so absolutely vile and evil. The fact that that has even come into the debate is absurd and ridiculous. We shouldn't even be talking about this stuff. It shouldn't even be on our minds whatsoever, let alone being injected into children's television programming. Nevertheless, The Hollywood Reporter's Pamela McClintock also shared that, quote, the character remains in the show, but a few lines of dialogue that referenced gender identity are being removed. A source close to Win or Lose of the studio made the decision to alter course several months ago. So then there's all this interview with the actual individual where the individual reveals that Disney specifically cast him. I think it's a him. Goes by the name Chanel Stewart. It is a child to play the so-called transgender character in the show. So they specifically went out and found a person who was identifying as this so they could put them in the show. I mean, that's how twisted the Walt Disney Company is. They are literally encouraging and promoting this stuff through their casting practices. And this is all documented. It was all on their Reimagine Tomorrow program. But these companies aren't changing. They're still going to be pushing this stuff. It's just going to be, I think, a lot more subversive now. We've kind of seen the playbook with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and that is what they're going to do moving forward. They're going to inject it into these popular, or what were once popular shows, nostalgic shows, to try to push it through as much as they can. This stuff is not going to go away. We have to work to eradicate it, and it's going to take people like me talking about it, people like you talking about it, but it's also going to require the strong arm of the federal government to start rooting it out. And fortunately, it does look like we finally have a government that is going to stand up for what is true and right, at least in this case, and take action against these companies that are doing this. We've seen executive orders talking about how Donald Trump has instructed his agencies to look at a lot of these companies and provide a report on the most egregious companies and begin potentially taking regulatory action and even filing lawsuits against them. We've already seen a letter being sent out to NBC Universal from the FCC inquiring about their DEI practices and potentially taking action against them. So we are already seeing steps being taken in that manner. So that is a really, really good thing, because that is how you have to root this out. It isn't just going to be from people here like me on a microphone talking. It's not going to just be from you guys listening, you guys speaking up locally, etc., on social media. It is going to take the strong arm of the government to really root this stuff out, because it is so entrenched. And we see that. We see how entrenched it is, because even though the Walt Disney Company got rid of their Reimagine Tomorrow program, they're making all these changes, they literally still have this belong and inclusion page right here where it's all about pushing the same stuff that Reimagine Tomorrow was pushing. It's still there. It is still rooted in this company. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.